Hello, boys and girls. Hello, parents. I'm Pat Harte-Naus. I am a educator of elementary children and the author of the Belden Boys series, which I have right here. I've been retired for about 4 years, but not really retired. I've been going like crazy out here in the Galena territory, conducting writing camps for children and writing books out here in the woods. So it's been a real treat. But I'm keeping my social distance from you. I'm 145 miles away, but I sure hope you come out to Galena and give me a jingle when you come. But I'm here because I'm thinking of you right now at this time, being away from your friends and your fabulous teachers back home. And I know that you'd rather be in school, probably just socializing and having a great time and wrapping up the end of the year. But as long as you're being safe and you're being smart about what you do and listening to your parents, that's good. So I'm going to talk to you right now about picture books. Parents, I want you to know that picture books are very, very important to read to your child, actually no matter what the age. It's not just for toddlers. As a team, my 4th and 5th grade classes would listen to the teachers teach with these books, because what we did, again, was talk about story structure. We would talk about the characters. What kind of characters were they? Whether they were dogs or humans, what were their personality traits? Talking about setting, which was very important. Were there multiple settings? We talk about the problem in the story that weaves through the story all the way through, and working itself up with events such as what we call the story mountain, up into the climax, and then falling down with the resolution that helps to take care of the problem, hopefully. So that's something you can certainly do as you're reading this kind of a story with your children, stopping along the way, having them even look at the illustrations, which are so important, and explaining things to you, or clues that they might know what might happen next. Now this story, Little Bob, it is a fiction story that I wrote, and I was asked to write the story by a family at my school, Lincoln School, many years ago. They had a little dog named Bob, and he came all the way out here to Galena, believe it or not, to stay at a kennel, and he had some adventures. He did get away from the kennel owners at the place, but we as teachers and administration, we all would come out here and stay at the house, and we would get up really early in the morning, and we'd go looking for him, and we saw him in the hills. He was having this adventure, and that is why I put this in a story. So hopefully you'll enjoy this. So, I'm going where? My wagging tail asked my family. On a vacation far away in the country? Why, I'm the luckiest pup ever. My family was going on a holiday vacation just like me, but to a different place. I wasn't worried though, because I knew we'd all be together again, just like before. I was excited. I was going to the famous biscuit retreat in the country. The vacation wagon came to pick me up. My family packed up my favorite toys and leash, slobbered me with kisses, and away I went on my own vacation. I loved looking out the window and feeling the wind in my face. I caught the scent of a skunk. Phew! I saw lots of trees and hills, but no houses that looked like mine. The drive was sure long, but worth all the treats in the world, because I was going to visit a place I had never been before. When the vacation wagon pulled up to the biscuit retreat, I was overjoyed but very thirsty. A smiling human opened the wagon door and let me out. "Hello, Bob. You look like you could use a bowl of water," said Mrs. Folks. "Welcome to your new home for the week." She was a friendly human, the kind I think I could curl up against if she was reading a book. Maybe I could even take a ride with her in the car like I do my family back home. I wagged my tail and she got my message. She walked me on my leash to my new doggy pad. When Mrs. Folks opened the door, I ran to the big water bowl that was waiting for me, and then I tried out a soft bed. Walking with Mrs. Folks was a big black poodle named Polly. I think the biscuit retreat was Polly's home, since she seemed to know all the nooks and crannies. I could tell she really liked Mrs. Folks because she was always by her side. I cuddled up in my new bed, and with a bone I found on my pillow, and I took a short nap. I was dreaming of buckets of bones when I woke up to see Mrs. Folks bringing me supper in a big shiny bowl. It was the best tasting supper ever, and I quickly gobbled it up. I had heard from the other dogs that the country air makes you hungry. I wanted to get up and play with my new friends, but I was just too pooped to move, especially on a full tummy. Since the ride was so long, I thought I'd just lay back down for a little bit, but before I knew it, I had dozed off and was dreaming about those buckets of bones again. I dream of buckets of books. He dreams of buckets of bones. The sun got up early and so did I. I heard birds chirping, dogs barking, and bowls clanging as they were filled with food. Mrs. Folks came in to feed me again. I crawled out of bed and I walked over to greet her with my tail wagging happily. This was a life for me. Good morning, little guy. How was your first night's sleep in the country? Here's some breakfast, and when you're finished, we'll take you out into the yard so you can play with the others. I sure was happy to see Mrs. Folks and Polly. I gobbled down another good meal and didn't bring my head up until I licked the bowl clean. What an appetite I had. I followed Mrs. Folks and Polly out into the yard where we ran around sniffing at every rock. I looked back at Mrs. Folks, smiling and laughing at us. Soon others joined us too. Everyone was having fun chasing each other, pawing the ground and barking. I loved sniffing the fresh air and my new friends. I took a drink from an old dented trough by the red barn. This was the best vacation ever. I think I could really live here. The sun was warm even though it was cold outside. Some of us lay on the hillside together, taking yet another nap. One day when I was out playing, I saw little bunnies run under a big rock ledge. They were playing hide and seek with their brothers and sisters. I wanted to play too, but Mrs. Folks called us inside. I guess rolling in the mud was not the thing to do because we all had to take a bath. But that was okay because I enjoyed all the attention I was getting at the biscuit retreat. After a week of playing, rolling around, and chasing each other, my vacation was over. It sure went fast. It seemed like I had just arrived at the biscuit retreat when Mrs. Folks came over to my doggy pad and said, "Oh, Bob, we sure are going to miss you. You've been a good dog while staying with us, but it's time for us to take you back home where you belong." She gathered up my toys, my leash, and me, and we headed to the wagon for the long car ride back home. Polly said goodbye as she licked my face. I turned and I barked goodbye to all my new friends. I was going to miss them, and that's when it happened. I got a little confused, or maybe I was just scared. I'm not sure which, but when the dogs also started barking goodbye, I jumped. I jumped right out of Mrs. Folks' arms, right out of the wagon, and then I ran. I don't know why I ran or where I was going, but I knew I wouldn't be back. Something inside me kept saying, "Run!" He's running right at the reader, right at you. I heard Mrs. Folks call after me, "Bob, come here, Bob, Bob." She sure was a friendly human, and I didn't mean to make her sad or even mad, but I kept on running. I ran down a quiet, snowy road, and I found a nice, cozy spot to lie. I stayed there for some time thinking about what I was going to do next. Should I head back to the biscuit retreat, or should I take the long way home? I wasn't sure, so I sat a while longer to catch my breath. I could hear voices from high on top of the hill, still calling my name. Long country road there. The sun was warm on my head and I started to doze off. Soon after, I felt something warm touch my nose. I opened my eyes to see a bunny staring right at me. He blinked at me and we looked at each other for a long time. Did we play together before? But before I knew it, he turned and he hopped away. I wanted to play with him, but I was getting hungry. So I nosed around, found some berries on a bush, and ate them right up. My tummy hurt a bit, but at least it was full. I started to walk along the quiet road, not really thinking about where I was going or why I even ran. I spotted some paw prints in the snow and placed my foot into each little step. That made it easier for me to walk on the snowy road. If I stayed on this path, maybe it would lead me to more food and new friends. I continued to follow those prints off the road and up the hill into a rocky cave. That's when I came face to face with a mother fox and her kids. She welcomed me inside for some supper that she had just caught. Her babies were eating like it was a feast, so I joined in. Afterward, I curled up next to them and slept well. As the days went on, I found food and enough friends to play with me. The nights were cold, but sleeping next to some of my furry friends made my adventure worth it. During the day, the warm sun allowed me to explore the snowy fields and sniff out unfamiliar smells. It was exciting because I was discovering new things out here in the country. But sometimes, while I was exploring, I thought I heard familiar voices calling my name. One day, I heard my name being called for what seemed to be from all directions. I got a little skittish, so I ran and I hid up in the rock caves. I didn't want my adventure to end, not just yet. One night around dusk, I snuck into an open barn door to sleep on a bed of hay. Someone had left a bowl of food out on the barn floor, and I gobbled it up. The next day I stayed with the cows in the barn, being careful not to get stepped on. The cows helped me keep warm, and I found that they made really good friends, even though they were much bigger than me. Another big farm down the road was also welcoming. A kind human lived there who was always coming to her back door to feed me whenever she saw me around. Her tabby cat just watched me from the window when I would come and take food from its owner's hand. I sure was enjoying all my adventures in the country. One day, I woke up to see the snow falling. I had taken an afternoon nap outside. The snow covered me like a warm blanket, and that's when I saw a farmer coming down the path. He wasn't calling my name. He was just sprinkling food around on the road. So when I thought he was gone, I ran to gobble up some of the morsels. I think he turned just in time to see me finish and run up the hill. I was getting colder, but I still liked running across the fields like a big dog, just happy to be free. I discovered that the round haystacks in the field could be a cozy home for me at night. I tried to be smart, though, and cuddle up in the haystacks before dark, especially when the coyotes howled. But those same voices were calling my name. Bob! Bob! I saw cages with soft blankets and bowls of food inside. I didn't understand why the cages were there, but it was tempting to sneak up to them and grab a bite or two. Most of the time, though, I would just turn and run the other way. Something inside me was a little scared to come out, so I stayed hidden where it was safe. The winter was long and the nights were getting colder. Sometimes I cuddled up next to my friends, but mostly I slept alone on the rock ledges in the cave. I was lonely out there in the snow. I thought about the long walk back home, but decided to stay near the biscuit retreat instead. The winds howled and the snow fell. It snowed every day and every night for a long time. I was cold and hungry, and on one of those blizzardy nights I slept and I slept. I felt like I couldn't wake up. I dreamed about playing with Polly at the biscuit retreat and about my big cow friends on the farm. I even dreamed about my family so far away. I was home again, eating the best supper ever and sleeping in my cozy bed. And that's when I woke to the sound of a voice calling my name. The sun was warm on my back and I smelled sweet flowers. I rubbed my eyes from my paws again and again. I couldn't believe what I saw. Standing there was a girl and her dog. The dog barked and ran in circles. It seemed friendly and wanted to play. The girl smiled and called for me to come home with them. I pulled myself up and I followed her through the grassy hills. I was happy to go because I finally felt safe. I still missed and loved my family, but I was ready for another new adventure. And that's the story of little Bob. And we put a dedication at the end of the Schilling family, or for the Schilling family, on behalf of Bob. We're sure he has a home somewhere, even though we were unable to capture him at that time. But that's his story. And you should always write what you know. That is very important. And I certainly did know a lot about this story. And so if you have any questions, parents, you need me at all to help with talking to your children about story structure, email me. My site will be on there for you. If you're interested in our writing camp that we have with the Belden Boys series, also email me and I'll give you that information because registration's right around the corner for that, April 13th. So I wish you the best and I'm here for you if you need me. And give me some likes and hopefully I can come back. Thank you so much.